about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, yeah, it seems like a lot's going on, and we're gonna be talking about that. But as it pertains to the future of vaccines, there's a lot of articles and clickbait saying RFK Jr. is stopping all these ads and he's going to disrupt flu shots and et cetera. This is from what we understand. He wants to change the ads on these campaigns rather than get your shot, get vaccinated, get your shot, to one of informed consent. Informed consent basically means you are consenting to getting this done after you have been informed. And by informed, it's not just a one-way street. It's not just a you do as I say, not as I do. It's the benefits and the risks. Informed consent is a cornerstone of all medical procedures. I can't operate on you. I can't do a procedure. I can't without you understanding or signing something that you were given informed consent, or you give informed consent and you were notified of the benefits and the risks, or the risks and benefits. And so these ads for vaccines that are go get your shot, get your shot, get your shot, get your shot, RFK Jr. wants to change to ensuring that these ads explain all the risks. Well, public health officials and doctors are mixed. Some doctors are like, well, that's kind of how we do everything else. You have to explain the risks and benefits. That's just what you do. And a good doctor doesn't just go, yeah, you could die, but don't worry about it. No, they have to be like, look, we're about to, you could have a reaction to the anesthesia. You could be intubated incorrectly. You could, you could bleed. You could have infection. So we give informed consent anyway. Other doctors are concerned that if you spend most of the time on the ad telling them about all the risks that they could have, that they'll say, why the hell am I going to get the shot? And so it's interesting because in medicine, we do things a certain way. But then when it comes to vaccines, it seems like they're exceptions to the rule. And they kind of can't be. Everything needs to be the same. All patients should be able to give informed consent. All patients should be able to be given education. Nobody should be bullied into a procedure. Nobody should be mandated or threatened they're going to lose their job. Nobody should feel blackmailed into doing a procedure. And if they decline, they decline. But the reason why vaccines have had an exception to this rule is because there was a Supreme Court ruling in the early 1900s where somebody did not want to get the smallpox vaccine and they got fined. And the Supreme Court held that up because it had to do with public health. And so when let's say you have HIV and you don't want to wear a condom. Okay, it's going to be a little different. I know people say, yeah, but there's risks with condoms. All right, but if you spread HIV knowingly to somebody, that could be criminal, especially if you don't let them know about the risks of sleeping with you, etc. And so look at how people are getting sued for giving other people herpes. So when it comes to communicable diseases, that's when there's wiggle room. And so what RFK Jr. wants to do through the HHS is when you are seeing an ad for a flu vaccine, there's also the education on what risks could be associated with it. Now, I don't like the idea of we need to hide stuff from the consumers. And so when somebody says, no, don't bring up the risks, because you'll scare people. No. Okay, we don't hide things from people. There could be small risks. But the other thing about this, which I think RFK Jr. wants to do, is ensure that if somebody is reporting the risks, they're being comprehensive about it and they're being accurate about it. And so if most of our data that's going to the consumer says, yep, it's safe, you're good. There's some responsibility, on the pharmaceutical company, on the provider, on, what are some of the risks? Guillain-Barré, where your immune system could attack your spinal cord, even though Guillain-Barré also can happen with the infectious disease, with the pathogen. Explain. There could be that risk as well. There could be a risk that it doesn't work, that you're going to have a false sense of security, which is what happened with the COVID vaccine. People are like, I've been vaccinated, so I don't have to wear the mask, which was the stupidest thing. When public officials say you don't have to wear a mask if you show proof of vaccination, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Of course you're still spreading it. Don't lie to people. We cannot have a false sense of security. You need to explain to people that if they were vaccinated, they could still spread an infectious disease, that if they're vaccinated, it could help them, or they still might get pneumonia, heart disease, etc. from the pathogen, that there could be side effects. We Americans have access to information now on the internet. So the idea of let's just kind of lay low now and don't bring it up if nobody asks, that doesn't fly anymore. And so what RFK Jr. wants to do is, if there is going to be an ad, and I think some of the ads he cut were some promotional ads or some paid for play. I'm not exactly sure what ads got cut, but he wants ads that have to do with vaccines or medications to explain the risks. Now, I'm watching these pharmaceutical ads, which, now are, there's more time spent on all the risks, and it's sped up to fit into that commercial time, because a 60-second commercial or a 30-second commercial is expensive. So they're like, yes, you could try this medication, but it could cause insomnia, death, this, and they rattle it off. But he wants the same thing for vaccines. So that's what we're being told. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah or X, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, YouTube, click like and subscribe. And if you ever miss a show, go to drdaliah.com. So I haven't seen this much anxiety in terms of layoffs since the Great Recession. And from 2009 to 10 to 11 to 12 to 13, patients of mine are like, I'm going to get laid off this next week. It's going to come. It's going to come. I'm going to get laid off. And we're kind of seeing this anxiety right now with federal workers. And it isn't just the U.S. aid or some of the government agencies that were opened up very newly or shall we say boistered under Biden for certain green and liberal agendas. There are going to be cuts all across the board, including Department of Defense, including Department of Energy, EPA, etc. National Park Service fired a bunch of people, even though they're going to be hiring there's still going to be summer hirings. I think there's going to be 5,000 seasonal jobs. But I'm looking at the message boards of people, and I'm looking at some of your comments, and it is scary. And one emotion that a lot of people are feeling is they voted for Trump only for now them to lose their career. That's not an easy emotion to have. And you have a lot of federal workers as well as people now in the military upset, even if their job is safe. Some of their family members' jobs aren't safe. And as you know, what's going on is the government has been swelling and enlarging for years. And Trump, in some very, very quick moves, is cutting down the size of the government. Something that has needed to be done, but it's easier to say on a campaign trail than to see what actually ends up happening. And so the first set of cuts are people who are probationary workers, and not probation in terms of poorly performing. Most poor performers are gone usually pretty quickly early on. Probationary are employees that have to be in their position for at least a year or two. So the reason why those are the first on the chopping block is because they were then Biden hires, because Trump's only been in office for 4 weeks. So Biden hires, meaning they were added for Biden's agenda, seem to be on the chopping block. The problem is some of those employees were actually Trump hires or individuals who had been there for a while but moved to a new position, or were veterans or people that decide to leave the military but still work as a civilian within the Navy or Air Force, etc. And so these mass firings is causing a lot of anxiety. People are being told there's a bunch of emails that are going to come out on Fridays. I guess last Friday, a bunch of Department of Energy people got laid off. Not everybody. but a good number. And so people don't know if they're going to get fired or not. They're going, well, should I just jump ship? Should I quit? And one emotion that a lot of people are struggling with is when that deal was offered to people who work remotely, saying you're going to have to work on site. If you don't, resign, and we will pay you till September 30th. Well, you had a lot of individuals who said, you know what? I'm working on site already. I love my job. No, I'm still with you, Trump. Well, those individuals now are getting laid off. It's not being taken very kindly. And so how does Trump decrease the size of the government, decrease the spending? Some of these roles are integral, some of them not. And we know some people have been laid off from integral roles or mission critical roles because they've gotten emails saying, wait, we're rescinding that. We still need you. So there needs to be, if there is going to be a trimming the fat, I think people need some explanation. People need to understand because right now there's a lot of distrust. They're looking at Trump as coming in, just making these moves to, please Elon Musk. And they're not understanding the reasoning behind, the logic behind this. Now, I've worked for the government. I've worked for academia. I've seen waste. I get it. Luckily, I didn't see necessarily fraud or abuse, but I've seen waste. And waste is where money is being spent on something that you're like, do the taxpayers really want that money being spent on this? Or the budget. Guys, we're under budget. And so we won't get the money next year. So spend it or we lose it. Spend it. I don't care. Buy whatever. I've seen that stuff. I think we all have. Most of us know somebody that has, or we've seen it in our own jobs. And so it's a very, frustrating thing to think that taxpayers have been getting screwed for so long. So Trump promised that he was going to stop us from getting screwed over. The only problem is we have some real good workers, some loyal people who want to work on site, who want to work their job, who want to work for the government, who are getting screwed over. And everybody says, well, war is bloody. You can't fight a war, you can't fix things without there being, some casualties. But I just think there's a better way to do this. Because the problem we have right now with the current job market and why people are stressed, and I know people are stressed because they're calling the telemedicine companies saying, I could get fired, I can't sleep, I need something to relax. We're going to see a whole bunch of people go back on benzodiazepines and antidepressants and alcohol and pot. Not to mention, we don't want to increase unemployment. The big issue we have had during the Biden years is people were not going back to work. They were collecting unemployment. You have people who want to work, that want to be at their job, then move them to an area in the government that needs to get fixed. If there are certain things that need infrastructure, like the wall, or like customs, or national security, or then move them. If you have loyal workers, then put them where you need them. Now, I understand. There probably was a bunch of money, at the end of Biden's administration saying, go, hire. And I looked at USA Jobs. Oh, I was blown away at how many positions. You're like, dang, look at all these assistant positions and all these, boy, they're looking for why? So, it's, for those of you who are now nervous that you're going to be getting that email or you're going to be out of a job, as I said, make sure you have I think it's an SF-50 form. Make sure you have all the hiring documents you need in case. It looks like some agencies will not have a hiring freeze, so you could go back and apply. But what I'm hearing from people is they're like, why would I apply if I could just get fired again a week from now, a year from now? The problem is the private sector is not better. The private sector is laying people off. And it's a very difficult time, especially for the Gen Zs who are looking at, and the millennials looking at what they're going to do for a career. When you have AI, when you have, tech, that is trying to, even doctors. Oh my gosh, doctors are going to get laid off or displaced because patients don't want to talk to a doctor. They want a computer to give them their prescription. So that technology is going to be displacing a lot of jobs. And I think we're going to have rising unemployment just because of the nature of the way things are. Does government need to be scaled down? Absolutely. Do we have a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in the government? Absolutely. But we might be creating another problem. And we can't have loyal people who want to work now go on unemployment rolls. And because many people that have been unemployed have preferred that. And they have decided to just stick with that. And we want now, Elon Musk said, well, they'll work for the private sector. That I disagree with in terms of Elon Musk. I get what Doge is doing. I think some of the moves he's making are right on. But saying leave the federal workplace and go back to private enterprise, and that works if these jobs are solid. The reason why people went to the federal workforce is they didn't want to be fired every year or two, which is what's happening in these other institutions from the private. So for those of you who are stressed, I get you. It's not going to be easy. For those of you who have been laid off, you probably are breathing a breath of fresh air because it's already happened. Because usually it's the people who don't know what's happening to them or the ones not at ease. I just wish Trump did this better. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hey, this is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare, and Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah, for real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. Family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people. My experience has been, MediShare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Nice job.
Thanks.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI, where this is a complete cluster in a seventh. Apparently, there is a nationwide recall of IV bags used in hospitals because they could result in overdoses and death because of the wrong concentration of what they're providing. This is ridiculous. Shouldn't happen. But we're being told that bags of IV drugs manufactured by California-based ICU Medical, being reported by Daily Mail, are being recalled because they may have double the dose of what they are labeled as. The firm says that many lots of their potassium chloride were correctly printed with 20 milliequivalents on the bags. However, overwraps incorrectly state that the amount is 10 milliequivalents. Well, 20 milliequivalents per 10, that's double. And when somebody's potassium needs to be very carefully titrated, right, you have to be exact. It's potassium. Potassium chloride can be administered orally, but in hospital patients with severe issues, renal disease, heart issues, hypokalemia, diabetes, we have to administer it in more severe sick individuals intravenously. And so hypokalemia is one of the conditions where you have low potassium. affects 21% of hospitalized patients. So they're saying 1 in 5 patients currently in the hospital have low potassium. So we replenish potassium often. It's one of the first things I did as a medical student. I learned how to do K-riders. When potassium is low, you need to give them a bolus or give them a dose or etc. And so if you're working with wrong numbers and you're overdosing them, hyperkalemia could cause abnormal heart rhythms. Hypokalemia can also. Hypo is below the level you need. Hyper is too much or high. It could cause cardiac arrest, muscle weakness, paralysis, dizziness, mental confusion, hypotension. That's pretty scary stuff. So even premature infants oftentimes need potassium. So this is a mess. In fact, potassium chloride is one of the drugs they use when they do lethal injection. They give a high dose of potassium chloride to stop the heart. We cannot mess around with this. So from what I understand, the recall has been done. All ICU Medical said they are notifying their customers, including distributors, of the recall. They're also arranging for the return of the recalled product. All healthcare professionals have been instructed to stop using the mislabeled IV bags, and to return them to the place of purchase. Meanwhile, customers who have experienced any problems that could be related to taking or using the product are advised to seek medical advice. Now, a fail-safe or a safety net is most individuals who are getting potassium through IV are oftentimes their heart is monitored closely. Many of them are already on telemetry, or they're on probes and wires that are reading the heart, checking the blood pressure. And so, and whenever we do in the hospital setting give potassium, we always like to check the levels within hours to make sure you're normalizing or making sure you're not going the other way. So I haven't done hospital medicine in a while because I did it in my training. But how I practiced was, if I'm going to be giving you anything to affect your levels, I am going to be rechecking those levels to make sure it did right. Because what if your kidney function is not up to par? It doesn't matter what I'm giving you. What I'm giving you could affect your levels. And so we always do recheck and make sure. So I doubt anybody died from this, but this is a cluster. This shouldn't have happened, and hopefully nobody got hurt from this. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So you're going to see this headline where a person might have given bird flu to their cat. Now, we can't confirm this, but humans have not had to panic to the degree that they did during COVID with bird flu, because we have not had adequate data saying that we can get it and then turn around and give it to our buddy or somebody in the house. Well, now they're looking at, wait a second, maybe these cats might be getting these from dairy workers. So we're being told that 2 cats, let me give credit where credit is due. This is coming from Michigan Live. 2 cats that belonged to Michigan dairy workers died after being infected with the bird flu. Now, it's not clear how the animals got sick or whether they spread the virus to people in the household. Were they also near the dairy area where they could have gotten it coincidentally? So you can test the strain and see if the cats had the same strain as the human. But if the cats got it from the same place as the human, that doesn't necessarily imply the human gave it to them. But if they need to investigate this more. So veterinary experts said in the report that was published yesterday at the CDC, saying it lacks detail that could confirm whether people can spread the virus to domestic cats or vice versa. Now, currently, Dr. Diego Daliah of Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine says, I don't think there is any way of concluding that there was human-to-cat transmission. They say cats in 2 separate households died in May after developing the severe illness. See, now all of a sudden everybody's worried about it. You see, they're like, all right, it's the birds, the egg price is going up, but whoa, not my cat. So sadly, 2 cats died. And they died after developing severe illnesses that were confirmed as type A H5N1. This is a bird virus that was found in U.S. dairy herds, according to investigators. Now, both, though, were indoor-only cats. They said they had no exposure to the infected cattle or birds, and they did not consume raw milk. Now, that's pretty significant. Now, I've been on dairy farms. I've been in areas where the cats are all over the place, and they're talking to the animals, they're hanging out, and the cats just go wherever mommy or daddy goes. But if these cats are strictly indoor only, and they didn't drink raw milk, which we know can transmit the virus, now you're looking at, well, then did they get them from the grown-ups? They said one cat that died belonged to a worker on a dairy farm in a county known to have bird flu-infected cattle. The worker reported symptoms of illness before the cat got sick. The cat fell ill, tested positive, and had to be euthanized. A second cat in that household got sick but got better. A third cat in the household didn't get sick and tested negative. See, that's interesting. I have 3 cats. I know exactly which one of my cats would get the bird flu and which one wouldn't. The cat that likes to go outside and bring home birds and lizards and snakes for me to see, that's the cat that would get it. The other girl cat that's like, okay, what you're doing is so beneath me. You know, I'm beautiful. She is the one that wouldn't get it. And then the cat that tries to have sex with both of them, he would be the one that yeah. So I already know who's going down and who's getting euthanized, sadly. Thank God my cats don't have it. Now, the other cat that died lived in a different household. According to MLive or Michigan Live, that pet belonged to a dairy worker who transported raw milk and reported frequent splashes of milk on the face, eyes, and clothing. Have you ever seen your cat drink? They act like they're really delicate about it, but when nobody's looking, they splash it like crazy. That worker reported eye irritation, which is a symptom of bird flu. Sometimes with bird flu, it could look like COVID, cough, sneezing, viral, or like malaise, low-grade fever, but also pink eye. So the cat was known to roll in the worker's dirty clothing and died within a day of developing signs of infection. That's a shame. I don't want to see, Now, they said in both instances, the dairy workers declined to be tested for H5N1. Why is that? Wouldn't you want to know? So, what this implies is this virus could be getting smarter and figuring out how to jump species and now be in a form where humans could spread it. 1-877-Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95.
Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one of my listeners thinks that what Trump did with U.S. aid is going to be disastrous for public health, and why aren't more doctors speaking out? And so, we know that Doge, Elon Musk, Trump, and the people working under them are trying to fight waste, fraud, and abuse. And I'm not stupid. U.S. aid had some programs that were good. And there were other programs that might have been fronts for money being shifted where they shouldn't have been. And so rather than Trump taking years to root out and with a scalpel trim the different pieces that he's like, let's just shut it down for now and then go back and figure it out. Many people felt that was a dangerous move, that was worrisome. The first thought I had was, well, where are the other countries? When you have a team and somebody injures their ankle and they're like, I need to reassess. The other team pulls together. And then they may need you to come back onto the field or onto the court. But they got it covered temporarily until you come back. And so another headline, this is coming from The Guardian. Trump's dismantling of U.S. aid raises risk of Mpox global emergency. Because apparently some of the U.S. aid that got cut off resources to African countries to help with the Mpox and possibly also Ebola and other things. So my first thought is that where are the other countries? Is it really the case where if America, now mind you, we're the best country of the globe as far as I'm concerned, but if America halts, and this is a temporary suspension, we are going to be assisting and we are going to be involved in other infectious diseases and limiting that. But right now, Trump is going in there to figure out what the heck is going on. And I understand how you need funding to keep going. You need the vaccines. My next question is, well, then where's the other countries? Don't you think New Zealand, Germany, China would then want to step up? Now, nobody wants to spend more money, especially since the U.S. has been funding the majority of things. In fact, when you look at the World Health Organization, the U.S. is the largest contributor. We're being told by Statista that the United States during the 2022-2023 year gave 1.28 billion to the World Health Organization. That far exceeded China. China gave millions. So if I break this down, U.S. donated 1.28 billion to the World Health Organization, including 218 million in assessed contributions, 1 billion in voluntary contributions, and 47 million in contributions to a contingency fund for emergencies. China contributed a total of 157 million during the same period, including 115 million in assessed contributions. So the U.S., if the World Health Organization budget was 10.4 billion, the U.S. contributed 12% to the approved budget. Where are the other countries? Germany gave 856 million. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gave 130 million. But that far exceeded, that was double the European Commission, the UK, Canada, Rotary gave $177 million. Thank you, Rotary, for doing that. But according to Statista, that's kind of concerning. When you look at NATO, U.S. again overshadows UN. The contributions to the UN. They said in 2022, the U.S. paid $3.1 billion in assessed contributions to the UN, which was about a fourth. In 2024 to 2025, the U.S. gave 26.95% of the UN peacekeeping budget. Now, China, Japan, Germany, UK, France, and Italy, but not to the degree that the U.S. did. And so, listen, I want us to be able to curb Mpox, curb AIDS, curb Ebola, help if there's another COVID pandemic. But the other countries have to flip and step up. And coincidentally, that's also what Trump says. So what do we do if all these articles and all these headlines are like the U.S. is going to cause this pandemic? I'd be like, why aren't you blaming the other countries that aren't putting that kind of money in? Russia is a big country. China is a big country. Japan is wealthy. Why don't we have more countries involved? What about Laos and Vietnam and Afghanistan? I mean, there's other countries who obviously are concerned about global health. Where's their money? And I get U.S. is a richer country. And I think it's nice that they have done this. I think it's nice that they have been so active with this. But like I said before, what America needs to do is not just give money. They need to give the actual things to know that nobody's stealing. And I know that's hard, but I learned that lesson early on when I was working with some charities. And I've worked with a lot of charities throughout my lifetime. And they don't want the clothing or the canned foods, a lot of them. They just want the money. Give us the money and we'll go to Walmart and we'll buy the stuff. Well, how do you know the money is going to the people? And when I donate, I like to donate the actual things they need. If you need vaccines, we will ship you the vaccines. If you need to pay for staff, we have Doctors Without Borders. We have staff we could send. This way, there's not the fraud with the money. And I get it. You do need money to operate. I get that. And I understand why a lot of charities need money. That's why the biggest charities I work with are American Red Cross and Vitalant with blood donation. Because when you donate, you're donating blood. You know what you're donating, and you know what that is going for. It's going for blood. It's one of my favorite donations to do. And I do a lot of it. So, before the media decides to completely go, I don't know, I mean, just go into a full meltdown, that now we're going to have all these infectious diseases go rampant, I would say talk to Canada, talk to Mexico, talk to Costa Rica, talk to Saudi Arabia. They all could step up. Why has it always been on the U.S.? And the U.S. will come back. The U.S. will help. They will. It's just right now they're trying to figure out what money got sent that never got to where they needed to go. What money got sent to Gaza that went to Hamas instead? What money got sent to Afghanistan that went to the Taliban? Where is the money and the supplies going? And that's where we're at. 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.